All right, welcome back, witches, to episode 6 of the Witchin Sisters podcast. I'm Shannon, and this is Shalon. And I just want to say thank you all for being here with us today. And I think today we're going to talk about cutting energetic cords, releasing, clearing karmic relationships and karmic ties with people in our lives and people from our past lives.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to create sacred space for us all right now. And we're just going to call in any ancestors, guides, goddesses, angels, and support team that are here to help support us and guide us through this beautiful interaction with everybody. And just to create this sacred, safe space for all of us to be able to show up authentically, receive the guidance and messages that we're requiring, and to be able to interact and feel safe in doing so. And so it is.
And so it is.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have just wrapped up when we're discussing this on, what is the date today? November
23rd.
23rd. Okay, so November 23rd, 2024 is when we're discussing this, okay? And we just wrapped up a very, very big transit, Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. And so this is like the age of Aquarius now, right? And in order to do that, we've been stuck, literally, I'm going to say stuck in karmic cycles for the past 16 years. We've been literally processing, clearing, and wrapping up like so many karmic cycles, and everything has definitely been coming to a head for people, like clients and people that I've been working with and whatnot. And I'm sure you, Shannon, as well,
Absolutely.
like
Oh my
working
gosh.
with your clients, what you've been working through with them. And lots of it was relationship based. It was like connections with family members, with partners, with friends, with like yourself, even, right? Work with yourself,
With
right?
yourself, yeah.
And with yourself, right? Like I feel like some of mine definitely was like my relationship with myself, right? And what I've been like accepting for the past like 16 years that was like not supporting me in the best way, but it was, I guess, in its own way, because like it helped to push me out of this cycle, out of these cycles, right? In order to step up into this next version of myself, right?
Yeah, it's
But
actually just so
lots of
strange though too, because for me personally, I even at the beginning of the year when I first had heard about this Pluto conjunction, it made so much sense to me in one of my own personal relationships. And it was just wild. I was like, that's interesting. And now being here in November and thinking back to January, so much has changed, so much has happened. It's wild, actually. And sometimes people might think, like, how do these planets actually affect us? And da 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 da. And they're kind of skeptical about it. And even me, like, honestly, I can still be skeptical sometimes. But there's no way to unsee it now about how much has changed for me from the beginning of this year to this. We're coming up to the end of the year, and then just reflecting back on the last 16 years and where I was 16 years ago. So if you also, any of you out there haven't done this yet, like go back 16 years and try and consider what was going on in your life at that time
yeah,
and what
think
has
about it.
happened since then that's shifted so much for you as to the person you are today. And it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind because it's a lot. Like, I don't think people understand just how intense this transition is for people. And me being a cardinal sign of Cancer, and the person that I'm, having the karmic tie with is also a cardinal sign and an Aries, and the cardinal signs are the ones that are affected the most through this transition. Everybody is. So if you're not a cardinal sign, it
Everybody
doesn't
is,
matter.
yeah.
You're still having the effects but it's most intently for those specific signs, the cardinal signs. So yeah, I would invite you to go, like have a moment and sit back and reflect on where you were 16 years ago and what was happening in your life and what has shifted and changed. It doesn't have to be all positive. It could be there could be some like really difficult times that you've been through because that's kind of what it was about too, right? The transition is that and that period of time was like karmic lessons, right? And you had to go through these things.
We had to go
You
through
had
them.
to go through them, and it was actually more on a difficult measure than it is like, oh, positive. But they're saying now that we've moved into the age of Aquarius, the next 20 years, I believe it's supposed to be, um, that it's in that house is supposed to be the uprise. So you had to go through that. You had to go through those lessons and go through those really hard times
Hmm.
to get to the point now where you can start reaping the benefits of the hard work that you've done and the difficulties that you've
The
overcome,
lessons you've
the
learned.
lessons
Yeah,
you've
the
learned.
lessons you've learned.
And you
Yeah.
really get to flourish now over the next 20 years. And because I'm sure there's lots of us out there where it's just like, why is it just like one thing after another, one thing after another? And yet,
Yeah.
maybe you hadn't noticed that you were repeating a cycle, right? A karmic,
Yeah.
like a cycle that's actually a karmic cycle. It's not just bad decisions or, like not moving forward in
Hmm.
your life. Like
Hmm.
this was meant to
Or
be
maybe
for
you've
you.
been trying, like maybe you've been fighting and trying to move forward in your life, and you're like, what gives?
Why does
What
it keep going
gives?
bad? Like two
Right?
steps forward, three
Why?
steps
Like,
back.
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad actually that you were talking about like seeing the truth in situations kind of thing,
Hmm.
because this is kind of like what this year has been about is like
Absolutely.
ripping the blinders off to where we have not been seeing the truth in our lives, basically. Right. And
Yep.
in the world around us. Right.
Hmm.
And in ourselves, even,
Yep.
like it's been a very eye opening year. Like,
Oh
and it's
gosh,
just like,
yes.
oh, my light just got bright, got brighter. And we're like, yeah, awakening into this higher knowledge, this higher ascension, this higher way of being, this higher,
Hmm.
like, well, I don't want to be like love and light, but it is like there is
Yeah.
going to be more love. There is going to be more light. There is going to be more of these things because we've literally been in the freaking trenches, right?
Yep.
And Scorpio season was the it was like the big wrap up kind of thing almost of
Yep.
everything because
Totally.
Scorpionic energy is very like death and rebirth. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so it's
And it's a water sign,
like
so it's very emotional stuff. Like it's deep,
very
deep-seated
emotional.
things.
Yeah.
Very
Deep
deep-seated
seated.
things.
So if you've actually found that maybe you've actually felt you were like depressed lately and you're just like, what is going on? That's scorpionic energy. That
Yeah.
is exactly what it is, right? It's
Hmm.
very dark. It's dark energy because we're bringing this stuff to the light, right?
Yep.
And yeah, going through like the whole like death and rebirth transition. And so that's why there's been a lot of like um, cord cutting. We're going to talk about cord cutting and how I know that there's so many different opinions on cord cutting and what that looks like. But ending of contracts and cycles and that kind of stuff. Um, so that you're able to like free yourself and move forward in the direction that you're wanting to go right now, right? The
Yeah.
direction you're being pulled and called to. Because I think lots of us have felt, I know personally for myself, I have literally felt like a freaking yo-yo being like trying to like pull back, like pull forward and move forward, but then being like ripped back into something else again. And it's like, what the hell gives? Like what gives at this point, right?
Yeah,
And so you
totally.
just go back down, you just go back down into the like darkness and you're like, all right, what else is in here that I need to get rid
Well,
of?
that's what it feels
What
like.
else
It's
is
like I
in
said,
here,
two steps forward, three steps back. Like as soon as you think you're starting to make some progress, you're like, I feel like I've already dealt with this. I feel like I've already worked through
Yeah.
this. But then you end up,
Yeah.
it's
But it's like,
like,
nope,
no, no,
another
we're not
layer,
done here yet.
another
There's,
layer.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
still more to be done.
Um, I was literally just working with a client yesterday, and she said to me, she was like, here we are again. I said, here we are again. We're talking about the same thing, right?
Hmm.
And I said,
Yeah.
and she was like, what gives? And I said, because you don't actually want to deal with it. But it's
Yep.
like at the forefront. Like you have this backpack of stuff that you want to carry with you, or that I guess she wants to, because she was, right? That
Yep.
you continuously carry with you, that you're not willing to let go of. And we like siphon through the backpack, get rid of all the shit that we don't want, all the shit that we don't need, all
Yep.
the contracts, all the karma, all the whatever else, right? And we get to the bottom of the bag where you've been pushing this stuff down into this whole time, right? For the past how many years? And it's like, oh, I don't actually want to deal with that. So then we just keep putting stuff in the bag again, right?
Right.
And then we
Hmm.
like start again, siphoning through the bag, get to the bottom, same thing. All right. Are we going to deal with it this time? Yes, we are.
Yep.
Because she just got to the point where she's like, I don't want to take this with me anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what it was about. It was like, how much of this stuff do we really want to continuously hold on to?
Yeah, and that goes, like we
Because
said,
we
for
think it's
relationships,
serving
people
us
in
in
our
some
lives,
way.
and
Yeah.
it could be old habits, it could be
Yep.
um, thoughts and beliefs that you might
Yep.
have that are now limiting beliefs in the
Yep.
work that you've done, but you're still holding on to that type of thought process or,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, it's also like, just realizing that you kind of don't fit anymore in certain spaces, places, in your
Mm-hmm.
life, and
Mm-hmm.
because you've outgrown it, but you still are putting yourself in this position where it's like, what is
In
that
the
saying?
same situations.
Like a putting a square peg in a round hole. Like you just don't fit. You
Yeah.
just don't belong anymore. You're no longer in alignment anymore. So when you keep trying to return to that space and shrink yourself
Yeah.
down,
You feel
it's
very
like,
uncomfortable.
yeah. And I think that time, that's where it comes down to knowing when it is time to do a release or an energetic clearing or, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, looking a little bit deeper into maybe some karmic ties that you have to certain people or certain situations that keep arising
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. And why
in your
it's
life.
serving you,
Yeah, is it serving
right?
you? Or
That's very important. It's like,
even if
what
it's
am I
bad, it's
receiving
serving
from
you
this
in some way.
situation? Is it
Yeah,
serving you in some way? It's like, what am I
exactly.
receiving from this person
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, apparently I think I need this for whatever reason, right? I'm like holding on to this and or I'm not willing to let it go, whether it be like you said, a habit or a way of thinking or whatever it is, right? Like, why do I feel like this is serving me? And like, how can I actually let this go, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like Shannon and I were talking, and when you're doing this like deep work, it's usually best to have a holistic healer or a practitioner or whatever to help support you in this, because they
Mm-hmm.
can really look at things from the outside perspective and be able to
Mm-hmm.
like ask you the right questions and do the energetic cutting and the energetic whatever it is, right, that you're needing at that time.
Right.
But if you're really wanting to work through this like on your own, I know for myself personally, like writing things out on paper and then burning it is always like a really therapeutic release for me, whether that be like a habit or a person or a situation that happened or whatever it is, right? But to just
Mm-hmm.
like transmute that energy to shift it, right?
Yeah.
And because I'm a fire sign, I resonate with fire, right?
Yeah.
Um, right. But like lots of other people would prefer to just like rip it up, throw it in the garbage, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that, make sure it's outside. Don't let it sit in your garbage can in the house,
Oh,
okay?
totally. Yeah, I
Or
think
if
people
you're
don't
like,
realize that part as well when they just get rid of it. That just like you need to remove it from your space completely.
yeah, or like flush it down the toilet or
Yeah,
what, do
that
you know what
too.
I
Yeah.
mean? Like if
I
that's
mean,
what,
don't
like
wad
I've
up a bunch
told
of
people
paper
that,
and try and
no,
like
no, 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 no,
flush it in your
no.
toilet, but like
But like,
if it's small enough pieces, yeah, you're good.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
For
that's,
me, like one of my rituals was like, okay, so the first time I did a cord cutting, I did a like a candle one where I took two small candles. I might even have one here. Like these are just small candles that I bought, right? Just little ones. And you can like inscribe like the situation. You can inscribe the name of another person, and then if you're gonna do like a cord cutting between two people, you can put your name on one and then their name on one, and then you put them on a plate and you put a string, a tie, and then you want it to burn, and you want to be there watching it burn with the intention of clearing that energetic connection. So if you're into like a physical manifestation, like you were saying, of a release, like writing it down or doing some candle work, that's great too. But I've also done cord cuttings with just like a visualization,
Oh,
calling on, a lot of times I'll call on Archangel Michael with his mighty sword to come in and cut the cord on my end, but also cut the cord on their end. So not just one chop, but two, right?
yeah.
Even if it's Reiki as well, uh, there's this hand gesture that we do, and I call it the karate chop. But you do it three times, right? So you do three chops, and then you do it three times, so nine times. So you do like literally chop, 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 right? So if you don't have that and you're in a situation where you feel like somebody's really attaching themselves to you, you can feel them attaching themselves to you. That's a great way to chop that energy as well. So like there's lots of different ways to release and cut cords or release energy as well. But if you're gonna do, I think, a karmic tie release, yeah, you really do want to work with somebody who's like comfortable or even well versed on working with the Akashic records, past lives, like things like that. If you really want to get to a deeper release with like a karmic relationship or a karmic cycle that you're dealing with. And, even at that case, you might not even know because some people don't really know what it is. They can't see it. So, like you said, sometimes when you go to see a practitioner, they can be like they're versed in knowing and being able to see cycles that are repeating in your aura, in your life, in your past lives, and things like that. If you're not practiced enough to be able to see that for yourself, and that would be a great place to start, right? Is to talk to somebody and have them kind of like help you see what cycles are repeating in your life, and then start to work through it with them, or like if you are comfortable doing it yourself, like we said, with the different other forms, like that's totally up to you. But I think if you're not too sure about what cycles that are repeating and you're just not as aware, um and want to go a little bit deeper into your past lives or into your Akashic records, then, you know, I would definitely, work with somebody who's familiar with doing that kind of work, to get to that deeper core,
Yeah.
and not just on a surface level, because sometimes I think people, their intentions aren't as deep because they're not as aware of like how deep seated some of this stuff goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's from
Mm-hmm.
past lives and past
It
experiences,
is.
or
Yeah.
even some blockages in yourself too, because
Mm-hmm.
some people have a lot of
This past life.
trauma, and not even
Yeah.
past life, like in this life, like you have trauma
Oh, yeah. This one
that
too.
has shut
Mm-hmm.
you down,
Yeah.
to the point where it's like you were just saying with that person with in their backpack, it's like it's in there and they know something is there, but they don't know what it is because they don't want to look and see. So that
Yeah.
might be some trauma that's stopping you from seeing it because it is too painful to acknowledge, or it is too hard
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
allow your mind to go there. So out of protection, your mind has like blocked it off and put it away. I always say locked it away in a little compartment in the back of your mind,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
So we
So
don't we don't we
you
don't
don't
go
even know.
there.
Yeah, we don't go there because it's too difficult, and we can't we just, it's too much to handle sometimes, or
Yeah.
too
No,
painful
and
to
it is.
acknowledge.
Well, because sometimes that requires reliving the situation, and
Right.
that
Yeah.
can be traumatizing in a healing session as it is. Do you know what I
Re-traumatizing
mean?
for
It can
sure.
be like,
Hmm.
exactly. That's why I really like to be able to clear with just like tapping into the emotions that people have stored in their body. Like I work lots with
Hmm.
like the chakra systems and whatever else.
Right.
But like sometimes like you might be having like some hip pain or something. Like you very well could have a cord attached at that spot actually, or you could also have like emotions that you have stored in that situation, or it could
Mm-hmm.
also be like something from past life that needs to
Mm-hmm.
be cleared. Like hypothetically, maybe you were like, I don't know, like speared in the side or in your hip or something, or like, do you know what I mean? In a past
Yep.
life, and like that
Mm-hmm.
trauma is in your body, it's in your cellular genetic, like, or in your system, right? And so it like needs to be cleared and released. um I've been doing a lot of past life clearing with people lately,
And it's
in
ancestral
regards
as
to things.
well. Don't forget. Like,
Yeah. Ancestral, and like lots of like clearing contracts and like bonding, that kind of stuff. But I've also been doing like, what have I been like, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm like, hmm. I was just working with a client the other day. Um, Oh, I wanted to talk about like when we're like cutting cords and stuff. Like Shannon said, she works with Archangel Michael, and
mm-hmm.
because I work with Goddess energy, I always use Goddess Kali, and she always like severs the cord or whatever. But one thing that I really wanted to add, because there's so many different ways that we can do this, right?
Yep.
Is I always like to seal the cords up with like light energy, like, and send it
Mm-hmm.
back with love and light, not with like
Right.
ill
Yep.
intention ever, because we don't want that cord coming back. We don't want it
No.
reattaching, right? And like lots of people, depending on what kind of energy you work with and stuff, like I know people who, like, I've also worked, it depends who I'm working with and what resonates with them, because I've used Archangel Michael before as well,
Yep.
but I've also used like dragon energy and like
Yeah.
burned cords and stuff away, right? So like, sorry. So it really depends who I'm working with and how to be able to support them.
Oh, for sure. And
Um,
once you're more well versed and you're like practiced on it, and also you have to trust your own intuition as well if you are doing that and you're going to do it like for yourself. Um,
what
and even like,
resonates with you?
yeah, what resonates with you, what you like,
Yeah,
trust that instinct and just go with it. Like, because there is no wrong or right way, but you do want to be intentional, I think. You really
yes.
want to make sure that you are in the space, that you are focused and setting that intention for yourself, because that's really like where that release comes from, is that you can feel it. You can feel it, you're aware of it, and you're not just like, oh, do, like quickly do it and then just like move on with your day. Like you want to make sure you set that space and that intention for yourself to really um get an in-depth disconnection, right? And
Yep. Yep.
um, because you don't want it returning, or you don't want to be like, I swear I've already done this. Like I've actually done a cord cutting once. It came randomly. I was like in a meditation, actually. I was doing a meditation, and this person from my past started like has always come up in my dreams and in my life, right? And I'm just like, why am I still so connected to this person? Like, why do they keep showing up in my dreams like all the time for 20 years, 20 plus years, this person. And so randomly they showed up in my meditation as well. And I feel like we had that karmic connection. Or so I was so strange, but I just felt in that moment like to release this person back and with love and light, like you said, and
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
a negative karmic connection, but they just kept coming up in my life, and
Just
I was
kept
just like,
resurfacing. There was like
kept
unfinished business,
resurfacing, kept
right? Yeah.
unfinished business, very much a soul tie between me
Yeah.
and this person, and so I just felt called in that moment, and I just trusted my own instincts in that moment about what needed to happen, right? And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it wasn't an intention I had. I wasn't intending on doing a like a release or an energetic cord cutting, but I did. And what I did was like it was just like visualizing the two of us literally floating and meeting in space and time, like no space and time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
seeing this person's soul energy and seeing my energy and then feeling the connection that was there. And then, like, with my own intention, thoughts, words, I released that person with love and light. And I released myself from that connection to that person with love and light as well. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just, I didn't actually call on anyone specific to help me do that. I just kind of like felt it myself. And so I just went with it, right? And I just kind of like
Yeah,
trusted my own instincts
absolutely.
on what to
Trusting the
do,
process.
trust
Trusting
the
the
process,
process. Yeah.
trusting my own instincts that I was feeling called in the moment and just kind of going with it. But that was probably the most interesting cord cutting moment because I wasn't expecting it either, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
that there was such a connection to this person still in my life from my basically from my childhood. Okay, like I was like 16 years old when I, knew this person, and for some reason, like they weren't a negative influence in my life or anything like that, but they obviously were someone who was coming into my life to teach me a lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a
Yeah.
lesson in that. And so I think that the when I was doing the meditation, the reason why that person came through was because they still felt that connection to me, right?
Right.
And I was still
Yeah.
popping up in their life somehow.
Sometimes that happens as well.
And
Yeah.
then we would always meet in the like astral planes, I guess you could say, because it was always like I said, I was having so many dreams about this person all the time, and not like bad dreams. It's just like, why do you keep showing up? And it's because we were always meeting on the other side in that soul plane connection. Like our souls were still connected in some way, um, but we are no longer connected physically on this earth, right? Like at this point, no
Yeah.
physical connection or anything like that. So I just, yeah, in that moment, I felt so called to just like, I need to release you, not just for me, but for you too. And it was nothing like, again, nothing negative or bad. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
our
It was
story
just like
is
we just,
done.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like closing a chapter in a book, right?
closing
Closing
a
a
chapter in a
chapter.
book that I didn't
Yeah.
realize I had left open
Yeah. And that's
too,
okay, right?
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you're, that's why it's like you were saying, going to a practitioner, sometimes they can see that stuff like you still have this open here, or you have like you're connected to this, and they can kind of give you a little bit of insight into that of stuff that you can work on, and doing shadow work, like we've talked about shadow work, doing your shadow work too is a great way to find these energetic cords and these things that these limiting beliefs that need to be released as well. So if you're, in the process of doing some shadow work, like that is also a great way to open up, yourself to what is in your life that's repeating that maybe you need to take a deeper look into, right?
And you know what? It's it can be as easy as like just needing to forgive somebody,
Oh, for sure. Yes.
right?
Forgiveness,
It can
for
be
sure.
as easy as just needing to forgive somebody. And also, oh, what was coming up when you were talking of forgiving somebody and I don't
Okay.
know. I'm trying to think now when you were talking forgiving somebody and oh my goodness, my brain just went blank. No, it'll come to me. That's fine.
Coming with
Yeah.
compassion as well for the other person, even if it was like a negative situation that you were going through with this person or a negative tie that you have.
Yeah.
Like, it's always great to come at that from a place of compassion that they are also
Mm-hmm.
on their own journey and they might have hurt you in some sort of way, or you might have hurt each other. But at the same time, it's like you don't want to keep carrying any sort of resentment,
No,
you know,
no,
in your heart.
no, because that just festers in your body and creates
Yeah.
other problems, right?
Which is why forgiveness
Um,
is so important.
it is absolutely. But no, when you were talking about just going with the process and trusting what was coming through in that moment and stuff, that's a part of being a witch. That's a part of
Absolutely.
being
Yes.
using your witchy ways and discovering your witchy gifts and using them to help guide people. When I have sessions with clients, it's not like a standard like we do this first and then
Like
we do
do.
that
We
and
have a
then we
pro.
do
Yeah, I
this.
totally.
Do. No, it's like where are we
Yep.
beginning? This is where we're
Yep.
beginning. And then it's like following the little trail of where we need to go and meandering there and like just trusting what comes up in the process and using whatever tools I'm needing in that moment to get us to the result that we're needing to do. Right. And like, there is no right or wrong way. There is no whatever. Like, lots of my clients, sometimes they're like, I didn't even know that this was a thing. Right. Like, I didn't even know that
Yep.
this was a thing I was holding on to, or that this was a thing I
Yeah.
needed to do, or whatever else, or that this
And
was
no
even
two
still a
sessions are ever
problem,
the
or
same. Like no
never,
two sessions are
never,
ever the
never,
same.
never.
I never process
Yeah.
a session the same. Like I have my due process is in like clearing my space, like my certain practices that I do
Yep.
to set the
Yep.
space and things like that, or to
Absolutely.
start,
Yep.
open up the energetic connection with my clients and whatnot. But like once I'm in, you just never know what's going to come up. You never know what's going to come through.
Let's let's talk about the fact of how, like, as witches and as practitioners and whatever else, how we receive messages sometimes, because like I just had the most unique experience the other day when I was working with somebody, and that I was like getting ready before, like, you're like setting the intention or whatever, and our work is already happening before you even come
Yep.
for
Yep.
that session. We're
Mhm.
already getting messages, we're already getting downloads. It could be days before, it could be when you book the appointment.
Yep.
I
Oh,
was
I've had
literally
that for
having
sure. I've had like spirit
a
come through
mini
and I'm just like,
anxiety
who is this
attack
person?
crying the other day, and I was like, this is not mine. Like, what is going on? And sure enough, it was somebody that I was going to be working on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the other morning I was getting ready, and the song came into my head, and I was like, that's really different. That's really different, right? And it
Mhm.
was like, the song was "There Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone," and I was like,
Mm.
huh, okay, okay, whatever. So of course, my very first appointment that day, somebody came through, and they're like, I want to know about, you know, it was their wife or whatever who had passed. And I was like, all right, this song was from you. Like, this is, do you know what I mean? Like, so this is
Mhm.
where we're being led today, right? This is where we're going through. And so that's, you go along with the process. You just see, where are we going with this? What do they need to know? What do we need to do to heal this? What do we need to do to clear this? What do we, whatever,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
right now, excuse me, we were talking, Shannon, about how everybody has these coughs. Everybody has these coughs, right? You're like, I have this
Mhm.
cough. I'm like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. So this is
So
like
true.
our higher heart is clearing. Our higher heart is opening because we're ascending into this higher um, consciousness of love and light. And that is like needing to clear out all of this garbage that we've been clearing. And some of us, we haven't even activated our higher hearts yet.
No.
Okay. And so your higher heart is between like your heart chakra and your throat chakra. Like, I'm pretty sure you've worked
Yep.
on people's higher hearts before, right?
Yep.
And so it's requiring, the physical symptoms are coughing, because we are
Oh
doing
yeah.
a lot. I've done so much heart clearing with people and healing and all of that kind of stuff lately. And so that we are just like expanding and tapping into this, like I said, more love, more light. Even though I know you and I are like, it's not all love and light. No, it's not all love and light, but
No, but it's still like that. It's still much we believe in that, and we
we
want
do,
people to
absolutely. But we
lighten their
know
load. But we know you
that
have
it's
to go
not,
through the
there
dark
isn't only love and
space.
light.
Yes, you have to. Like I remember writing this one time, and it's just like, um, like shadows aren't found within the dark, they're found within the light. And it's
Nope.
just like you have to
Hmm.
move to the light, and then sometimes that can also illuminate. Like once you move to the light, you can see your shadow self a little bit better as well. and you can see those shadows more clearly moving into the light.
Yeah.
So that's your
So this is
goal,
why.
right? That's your goal, is to actually lighten yourself, and but don't ever just allow yourself to stay in those spaces of like
Yeah, in the dark shadows.
in the dark shadows, right?
Yeah.
We don't want
That's
to
why it's
live there. We want to be aware. We
no.
want to feel safe going into those spaces, and you want to make sure that, you're paying attention to those things and working through them, because you can't just like, that's when you're staying in a like a low, not that being in the dark is a low frequency. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But you
No, no,
can
no, no.
get, if you stay in that space, you will start to lower your frequency and lower your
Mm-hmm.
vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
goal is not to stay there. The goal is to be in those spaces, do the work, and go to the next like level, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, we do. I mean, as much as me and you are like more of like on the, we do like, no, I think it's more that we are willing to acknowledge that stuff, and we are
Well,
willing
we're
to go
willing to
into the
go into
trenches
the trenches with you,
with you,
right?
and even
Because we want to get to
ourselves,
the nitty gritty of all of it. And with ourselves,
right?
we have.
And because
Exactly.
we want to
Yeah.
uproot the problems, right? We want to like, and that's why these cord cutting is so important, because you really want to make sure you're getting to the root of it. You're not, again, like I had said earlier, that surface level that you can get to, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, superficially cutting a cord with somebody, but it's like, what is the deeper rooted reason as to why it's so hard for you to disconnect from this person, place, job, old belief system? Like, why? Like, again, so that's why I said shadow work sometimes is still very important when you want to do like really deep releasing or karmic clearing, right? Because you want to know, like, what is the root of this problem? Like, we're not
Yep.
just going to like be like, oh, I just don't want to talk them to call me anymore. I don't want to talk to them anymore. Or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a surface thing, but that person is a karmic tie for you in some way.
Yeah.
Then you
So
need
it's
to
like,
go a
what
little bit
happened?
deeper. Why?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
How did you get there? How come you've had a hard time releasing this person? And sometimes it's you, right? Like you were saying, it's like past life stuff, like why you have a hard time letting go, or why you've allowed certain behaviors in your life, or actions
Yeah.
towards you, like things like that. Like why you keep allowing it to happen over and over and over again, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
yeah,
one thing actually, that another thing with it's not necessarily just cutting ties. I know I worked with this lady the one time, and what she taught me was sometimes we need to physically like unplug and uproot from that
right.
person and
Yeah.
them from us. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
where are they attached on your body, to feel
Yep.
into it, okay? And what it feels like, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then to like actually physically like pull that out, right?
Yep.
By the root, and then seal it up with like divine white light or whatever, right?
Yep.
And you can do that. Like if you go into like a meditative state or whatever, you'll be able to kind of feel that, right? Like maybe
Oh,
it is
for
a pain
sure.
in your body, right? Like I will pick up when I'm working on clients and stuff, I will pick up from people, like I will receive aches and pains or whatever else it is in my body, or a sensation or
Yeah.
whatever, to know where that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. About that.
How did that happen? What? Wait a minute. I
Yeah.
was just doing a little bit of work with Shannon before we started. I got on the call with her, and I was just like, immediately I was like doing light language. I'm like, girl, what is this about, kind of thing? Because we all have our shit. We all
We
have
all have our
stuff
shit.
going
Like,
on.
oh,
We all
nobody
have
is
our stuff,
perfect.
right?
Nobody is
And
perfect.
like,
And we're also here as a
nobody
human experience.
nobody
I'm
else
not exempt
probably
from
would
it.
have picked up on it. Nobody else
No.
probably would have picked up on it, but you and I are like,
So connected. Yeah.
so it's like, girl, let's just take care of this
Instantly,
before
you
we
were
get
just like
started
looking
here.
at me. You're like, girl,
I was like,
what's going on with you?
what do I got going on here? Because this is not mine. Like,
Yes, that's why it's good to have a witchy sister, y'all. That's why we're here,
yes,
because
exactly.
this is why
And
we
you know
want to
what?
like expand that.
Absolutely. And I know, like, if I need to, I can call on Shannon, like, and ask her for help to support me in so many things all the time as well. Right. And
Hmm.
that's why we're here to help support each other. And that's why we're passionate
Yeah,
about what we do as well. Right.
and like
And
wanting
I think
other
that's
women to
why we're
find
so
that in their
passionate.
lives. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're so passionate about doing this for you guys, because you witchy sisters, because we've gone down into the trenches. Like we have.
Yep.
We are always going down into the trenches.
Yes.
We're always digging deep to like see like
And
what is
I've
this?
done it
Where is it
alone.
coming
We've
from?
done it alone. We've done it
Exactly. That's
without
the other
we
thing.
and that was
Yeah, until we
it's
actually found
possible.
community.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Yeah.
possible. You can. But I
Yeah.
encourage you to find your people
Mhm.
and your
Mhm.
sisters in circle because there's not like I got goosebumps. It's okay because it's so valuable. Like it's very
It
valuable,
is.
and we're
Yeah.
healing more than just. And that's also a healing of a karmic tie as well. If you're finding like we talked about the sister wound and the witch's wound, like
That's
things
true.
like
Yeah.
that. So you
Absolutely.
know that's
Mhm.
why we're here because we want
Being
other
scared to
women
reach
to.
out to
Yeah,
community.
don't be scared to
Hmm.
reach out to community.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to um,
So
allow
so
people
there
to
might
see the
be
most vulnerable parts of you.
there might be a karmic tie there you may need to take care of so that you can reach out to community, right?
Right? Yes, yes. Oh, you know what's funny? I was thinking too when you were talking about like how you connect, um, like with things before you do your sessions and whatever. I was just
Yeah.
thinking about this because I'm also like a medium, so like I do get
Yeah.
family and relatives that come through and past loved ones that come through during my Reiki sessions. And this one I was going to do like a guided meditation for uh, a family who had lost their dad in a very tragic way. And I knew nothing about this person. I knew nothing about, all I knew, they didn't even know anything either. They just like, I, they didn't like know much about what I do. It was their friend who set it up. So I only knew like she's a client of mine that set it up for her friends. And so I knew nothing about their names, where they're from, how many were going to be there, blah, blah, anything at all, right?
Hmm.
All I knew was my client set it up and I was going to go and do this grief share kind of circle with them for some release of some anger and like they had a lot of grief. So I was like, you know, that was my goal was to help them move through some of that pain and trauma. Wow. Spirit had a different plan, okay? So I was doing sessions all week, my regular Reiki sessions like here in my home, in my space, and I kept writing down the same name on my paper because when I'm doing my sessions,
Yeah.
like I don't usually talk much. I'll just like write everything down and then afterwards we'll go over whatever comes through. And so this one person I kept saying to everybody, and I kind of was like, am I a fraud right now? Because they're not like nobody's resonating with this B name person, blah blah blah. Well, that person, like you said, it could be from booking of that appointment, right? So from that day that she called
That they
me to
booked the
book that
thing.
session,
Yeah. It
he
was
was
like,
around me every day. And
yeah.
I didn't know where this energy was coming from, but every time I would open myself up to do a session, he would come through. He was here. He was waiting. He was waiting for his moment to meet with
Yeah.
his family, basically, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just so random. Like I had no idea where I'm like, he's not connecting with any of my clients. I'm like, this is so strange. And then, like I said, I had no idea anything about this person other than he had passed away. So I hadn't put two and two together until I actually went and he took over. My session ended up being nothing about doing a guided meditation, and it ended up basically being like a mediumship reading where he came
Yeah.
through and I was able to give full on individual readings to each individual person from this spirit who had just recently passed and it was so in depth. And I was just like, and then I was writing down some of the things. I'm like, oh, so it's you. You've been coming through and infiltrating all of my sessions, hoping and waiting for your moment
Just waiting,
because you had
waiting,
so
waiting,
much
waiting.
to say. He had so much
Yeah.
to say
Yeah.
to his
That's amazing.
family.
Hey.
And, but yeah, I just thought I would share that experience because that was one moment where it's like,
Yeah.
they will come. They will come. Spirit always finds a way to get through. And sometimes when it's actual, like you're dealing with like a spirit of a person who's passed, um, they don't always know the etiquette of how to show up or when the right timing is okay. But yeah, it was just kind of an
Hmm.
interesting moment where I was just like, I thought I was losing my mind. I'm like, am I losing my touch? And it's like, no, he was actually just waiting for his moment and trying
Yeah.
to come through
Yeah.
as much as he possibly, and trying to stay connected to me until I actually went to do the reading with his family, right? Um,
Yeah. That's how I felt the other day when I had this, because I get lots of messages through songs, like random lyrics. Like sometimes I don't even know the song. I have to like look it
yeah,
up because I was like, what are these lyrics? What is this song? I don't even know. Right.
yeah.
And I literally was had this song on repeat in my head, and like the emotions I felt in my body were so real, and I was like crying, like, and I had to reach out to one of my friends because I was like, I don't know what's going on right now, and she literally like talked me through it, and I was like, okay, this is not mine. This is not
Mm,
mine. And it was literally
hmm.
how many days before I worked with the one client, and I was like, there it is.
There it is.
That's it.
Yep.
But so real in my body that it was like
Hmm.
felt like it
Well,
was
yeah.
mine.
Yep.
Like it's crazy. Like it's just, yeah. And that's also, like we talked about last week, energetic hygiene. So we need to, like, it's not mine, clear, clear, clear,
Yes.
so that I can still live my life, right? Like, I can't just be crying about somebody else's problems for 3 days before I do their session, right?
Yeah. Well, actually,
Yeah,
that's how I found out that I was sensitive because I used to go to like the bars and stuff with my friends when I was younger, and I
yeah,
thought I was having panic attacks. I thought I was like, I don't know, having anxiety and stuff like that. But what it actually was I was feeling other people's energy.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
didn't know that. And this was before, like, I was way younger, so I was not on my spiritual path. I was not doing this at all in any way, shape, or form. So I had no idea. But once I found out and then I was able to, like, practice, I I never had that happen to me again because again, I did that energetic hygiene. I learned how to protect my energy so that when I do go out in public and into public spaces, like I'm not pulling on other people's energy as much and I'm not like taking it home with me or I'm not like actually
Hmm.
physically feeling every little thing from like random people because also you can feel it from spaces that you walk into. So you think about a bar, like there's probably a lot of
It doesn't,
not
yeah, it doesn't even have to be the people that are there,
no, it could be
like
like
at
a
that time. It
resonance,
can be
right,
from
of that
like,
space.
yes, absolutely.
Resonance in that
That's why
space
it's
of
important to
negative
clear your
things that have
space.
happened or things like that and whatever. So it's like I walked into that space and I'm like, oh, I just feel and that happens too. So you be aware of that. Like when you walk into a space and you feel uncomfortable, like think about what might be going on there. Like if it's not you and you're not that's not how you usually feel on a regular basis and that you struggle with, consider that it might be the space that you're in or the people in the space that you're in that you're feeling it
Absolutely.
from, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So I'm being called to pull a card. Are you pulling a card today,
Ooh.
love, or no?
No, you can go. I mean, I need to get some new cards, y'all. I really do. Because I'm like not.
If it, so we're pulling from the Goddess Power Oracle today is the one that I was called to use. Okay, so there's a goddess that's coming through. Oh, so this is actually
Oh,
funny, not funny. I
what?
was
Show
literally
me.
just talking this morning. Okay. So literally I know like cuz we're this is like getting into religious, but like literally Jesus has been coming through lots lately.
Oh,
Okay?
that's awesome. Yeah.
And I was just talking with my sister this morning about twin flames, which is a whole nother podcast on its own.
And that goes back
And
into
how
also, but that connects right now to Shalon actually with the like, there's
with the
karmic
karmic clearing and
ties,
everything.
right? And
I
the
know.
karmic
So here's the thing. And I
relationships.
said to her, I said Mary Magdalene was Jesus's twin flame.
Oh.
Mary
Oh
is
my
coming
God.
through with miracles,
That's
and the
amazing.
number is 34, which breaks down to
Ooh.
a 7. I'm like, and she flew out of the deck. And so I'm seeing, which is like lots going on. And I noticed, Shannon, that your nails are green. and she has a lot of green. And we have like your nails are beautiful, actually. I love the
They're like green
color.
and
They're like
purple. You can't really
metallic-y.
see,
I
but
love it.
yeah, they're
They
like
look
that
more green in
gasoline.
my video, but
I know.
so green is heart healing. And what have we been doing? So much
Hmm.
heart healing. And actually what I'm being called to share right now when we were talking about forgiveness is like literally forgiving yourself.
Mm.
Forgiving yourself and not being so hard on yourself all the time and giving yourself some grace, because you know what? You made it through this 16-year cycle. Like, you made it.
Hmm.
And I'm actually getting really emotional, feeling super
I can
emotional
see
right
that.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. So I'm going to read from the book quick, and it says, Mary, Mother of Miracles, has come to celebrate with you today. Okay. She is here to remind you of all the amazing wonders that are everywhere in your life right now. Look around you, especially at all the synchronistic events that have already taken place ever since you were born. Events and opportunities have come together to support you, guide you, show you love, and present the world as you see it. Look closely and see the hand of the divine working on your behalf. You are a powerful co-creator, and so you are responsible and accountable for the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that seed your field of dreams. If you haven't watched that movie, I highly,
I have.
highly
Yeah.
suggest it. It's an amazing movie.
Hmm.
Remember, miracles are uncanny evidence from or that form the invisible world. Life springs into form without any reasonable cause for the effect. Mary gave birth as the great goddess was shown to do long before the Christian myth of Mary became real. She too proved herself to be the very essence of creation itself. In this moment, Mary
Hmm.
reminds you of those miracles that you too can call into being. You don't need a cause or any evidential fact or calculation to believe and then see the miracle rise up in the conditions of your life. When Mary appears, you're reminded that you will never run out of miracles. The miracles really are endless, and it's us
Oh,
that
that's
put the
so
limitations
beautiful.
onto them. Yeah.
That's so beautiful and
Oh,
so on point. I feel like that message is so on point for me right now and what I'm going through.
all of us, right? It's
Yeah, I just
collective,
feel that
right? We're all
so
in this.
deeply.
We're all in this, right? We all have
Yeah,
different things, but we're all feeling the same energy, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's
So
important too to like, you know, give yourself some self-love and self-compassion and self-forgiveness. Like that's something I say to my clients a lot. Like, forgive
forgiving
yourself
yourself.
for not knowing better at the time, or not knowing, I don't want to say better, different, not knowing different at the time, and making choices with the
Yes, I like
knowledge that
that.
you had at the time.
I like
Okay?
that.
Because it's not like
Yeah. Yeah.
better. It's just like you didn't know any other way to process this or to make it through unscathed, right? Like, none of us are going to make it through life unscathed. Okay? We are all going to experience some sort of trauma. And if you don't, then you're in a different cycle in your karmic return that, you finally get to just reap the benefits of all the hard work that you've done. And you might not have to experience any sort of like issues or traumas in your life. But most of us
Yeah.
do. Okay. And that is nothing to be ashamed of. And so it's also about releasing some of that shame around some of the
Mm-hmm.
decisions you've made or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
behaviors you've allowed yourself to have or other people to project onto you. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Actually,
self-forgiveness,
as Shannon,
self-compassion.
yeah. As Shannon's talking, I'm just going to do some clearing as well. And we're going to actually, Shannon and I were called today that we're going to give you a little bit of heart healing to help support you in this
Mm,
process. So I have my pendulum and I'm clearing, and we're releasing shame and releasing guilt and we're releasing remorse and we're releasing, um, what else are we releasing? Angst, anxiety, depression, sadness,
mm,
sorrow. Just breathing into your heart space, deep breaths into your heart space, and just sighing it out, letting it all go. Receiving love. I'm actually seeing the infinity sign right now. I love
mm.
that. We are infinite beings. We're just sending you light to send or to fill you back up. And I'm being called to share some light language. Oh, this is Mother Mary. This is a blessing. Breathing that in.
So beautiful.
Just such a soft energy. I've never channeled
I
Mary
know.
before. Love it.
I have definitely channeled Mary before. She's very much a huge part of my journey, and Jesus as well, honestly, because that's what started my spiritual journey in general was
Yeah.
through learning about praying and saying the rosary, and through my grandmother. She was very
Yeah.
religious, Roman Catholic.
Hmm.
And so that
Hmm.
was my first
Me as well.
experience with spirituality, right? And as much as
Yeah.
I'm not like a follower of the church and the teachings of everything, I am very much connected to her energy and her divine light. And um,
Absolutely.
like she always comes, and you might resonate with us so much too, because it's like the rose with Mary too. It's like a very soft, delicate,
Hmm.
and feminine.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I've definitely connected with her a few times. She's come through with for me when I try and connect with my grandma's energy a lot. Um, but it's such a beautiful, soft energy and just so loving and
Yes.
compassionate. It's like so much love and
So
compassion that comes
loving.
through.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
like there's other goddesses and stuff that come through where you feel the love, but they're also
Yeah.
bringing you
Yeah.
some
Just like angelic.
hard-hitting
Very
truth,
angelic.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so like
Yeah.
there's some that are like a
Absolutely.
little bit more stern and a little bit more intense, but her energy is always so soft and so delicate
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like a I don't know how to explain it, like a mother's touch of a newborn child. It's
Hmm.
just like you're so soft
Hmm.
and you're just so
Just
delicate with that
like you said,
energy.
delicate, like
Hmm.
angelic, like very
Yeah.
just pure love, pure love, pure love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that
Mm.
so much. That was such
Well,
a
anything
beautiful
else?
reading. Um, No, I mean, I feel like we've touched on quite a bit. I mean, if anybody
Hmm.
has more questions on like how to do energetic clearing, you can reach out to me or you can reach out to
Absolutely.
Shalon on our
Hmm.
platforms. I'm Goddess
Hmm.
Mariah on Instagram, or you can follow my Facebook page, Heart and Om, for my business and reach out to me there. Shalon, you want to share your handles, your
I'm at
socials
Yeah, I'm at Soulful Beauty and Shalon underscore Wild Witchy Goddess on
on
Instagram,
Instagram?
or
Yep.
just or just Shalon Lockhart on Facebook. So yeah, there's multiple ways to get a hold of us, and even if you just
Yeah.
comment on our
Yeah.
podcast or whatever and have any questions, we can reach it back out to you as well. So
Absolutely. And I know our comments were not working on the YouTube
they're working
last
now.
time, but they're
We've
working now.
rectified
So
the
if you do have
problem.
questions and you do want to chat or connect with us, please do go over to our YouTube channel, the Witchin Sisters, and check us out, watch us,
Yeah,
and listen and leave a comment, like, share, whatever. We
yeah,
really appreciate it because we want to build
yeah.
our community. We want to share more light and more information with women from all over the world. So share with your sisters, share with your friends,
Share with your
share with
sisters.
your
Absolutely.
platform on your own platforms if you feel called to. But we would really appreciate that because we do want to reach as many, you know, women as we can, as many sisters as
Yeah,
we
to
can,
help
and
support them.
grow.
Hmm.
Yeah, and help you guys
Yeah,
grow and help us grow. Like
yeah,
this is helping us grow
yeah,
because it's like it's
exactly.
great to be able to share the things that we know, the things that we've learned from our own personal experience, but also as we go, because we're still learning too. We're not all knowing beings. We're still learning as we go. And so don't forget, like a lot of this stuff is from our own point of view, our own perspective. So if you have a different perspective or you
Our
have
own
your own
experiences.
yeah, you have
Yeah,
your own experiences, that is okay.
yeah,
And we would love to hear more about your experience as well. So if you, again, like go
absolutely.
onto our platform on
Absolutely.
Spotify or on YouTube and, leave us a comment with any questions you may have or topics. Like we always say, if you have any topics you want to hear about, you want us to talk about, don't forget to like leave us a little comment and we will make sure to add that in. Um, and, you know, we're always like willing to learn and hear different perspectives. So,
Hmm. Hmm. Well, as always, this has been an amazing interaction. And Shannon and I could just talk and talk and talk and talk all day about all of this stuff.
And we do. When we
We
talk for
do.
hours
We do.
sometimes. Yeah.
But I just want to, yeah, thank you everybody for being here. And as always, it has been an amazing interaction. And yeah, thank you. And so it
Thank
is.
you. And so it is.